Justice to the session. Okay. So, yeah, to give you a brief of, let's start with a brief intro of about me, just 2 minutes. So I've been in the content writing industry for about a decade now, more than 9 years. I've worked on a lot of different stuff for both B2B and B2C audiences. Different kind of domains in which I've done a bit of writing, articles, ebooks, guides, manuals, landing pages, website content, everything, a bit of everything here and there. Ever since I've been associated with Ｓᴘᴇᴜᴜᴜ, I've been focusing on B2B marketing content for primarily, not primarily, I wouldn't say primarily, but my strength lies in the tech space. I've been a software engineer for 5 years. So I have you could say a bit of an understanding of a tech space that helps me often. But yeah, of course, the writing is where my heart lies. So I've always wanted to do that. So just a natural calling, I guess. So yeah, I guess we can start with the session for now.
Before that, so can you just quickly, maybe we can talk about who's here in the session, right? So I know Deep does everything and anything. I know Aditya was a product marketer. Naveen is a writer. Could you maybe just like quickly tell us, who's here? That'll really help us understand, or maybe that'll help Sukriti understand, okay, what to talk about, what she can skip.
Yeah, I would love to know, say hi to everybody one-on-one. Yeah.
Is there anyone here who isn't a marketer or hasn't been a part of the marketing industry until now? I am guessing not. Got it. Okay, nice. Hey, we are hiring, so if you... So anyway, yeah, Sukriti, over to you.
Yeah. So landing pages, right? So in this session, we are basically, as Ishan already briefed us about, we're going to cover the process of creating landing pages that we follow at Ｓᴘᴇᴜᴜ. See, I'll be very upfront. There's no right or wrong here. It's just about what works, and this is what we have found that has been working for us, and it tends to work quite well. So this is what we like to follow for most of our pages. To begin with, I hope the basic understanding of a landing page is pretty much clear to everybody, but just to give an overview, any website page that is specifically designed with the purpose of serving as a target point for a marketing campaign, basically is a landing page. So whenever you create ads, whether they are Google ads or they are social ads and everything, and an audience comes to your website through that page, through that ad, and the page at which they land is the landing page. So definitely, there are a few key things that the landing page should achieve for your campaign, which is it should be able to tell the audience exactly what you're trying to communicate without creating the wrong assumptions about you. It should be able to achieve the goal that you have set out for that landing page, and it should be able to reach the right audiences. We'll come to all of that. That is actually a part of the process that we follow. So one thing that Ishan always likes to follow with the creation of the landing pages is that don't start with the copy first. Figure out the essentials. So what we like to do is we like to begin with what we say are pre-research, which is just finding out about what. So for example, if we have a requirement of creating a landing page for a particular client, first and foremost, we need to figure out what that company is, what, the basic kind of things, okay, what we are dealing with, right there. And then we get into our basic research process. I'll quickly share my screen.
Yeah. One very interesting thing about the pre-research, as we're calling it here, right? It's called pre-research because we're talking about the landing page, but no matter who we are working with, we always do an extensive research. And so he's going to show you what does that look like briefly. But this will help you across everything that you do for a particular company, whether it's a client, whether you're working for that company.
Yeah.
This is
So,
some version of this going to be
some
important.
word, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, I am sorry for the random notepad is just my choice of weapon for quickly taking down notes. So, okay. So when we start with the pre-research, this is what we generally like to do. We like to, look about the company, the offerings, the audience, the competitors. And it's not, there's a lot of information that there needs to be collected before you can actually get to the process of creating pages and creating ad copies or whatever for the client. And all of this, we actually have a template in place for collecting all this data, and we like to call it our marketing research and strategy sheet. I hope you guys can see my screen. So yeah.
Yep, it's visible.
Okay, great. So this is kind of, a lot of stuff goes in here. As you can see, there are a lot of sheets, quite detailed actually. And this is the base and the first step that we do whenever we start working with any new client. So this is basically almost an entire week of us collecting all the data. Here we ask a lot of questions from the clients about their assets, about their past performance, buyer's journey, all different sorts of things, which just helps us understand their positioning, how they want to place themselves in the market, how what is the message that they are using, what kind of market landscape that they have, all different sorts of things, and how that helps us in the creation of the landing page is actually there are multiple ways in which this helps all through our content journey. So for example, in terms of the goals and the business, what kind of business they have, what is the pricing model, all these things, yeah, they are relevant from a more marketing perspective, but from a content perspective as well. For example, buyer's journey. So whenever we are creating a landing page, where, what is the goal for that landing page? Who exactly that landing page would be visible to? Who would be the people who will actually be coming to that page, and which stage of the buyer's journey they will be in? That helps us to understand and create the exact copy for that page. Similarly, marketing landscape, for example, these kind of things are specifically very useful for when we are creating specific pages, like for example, a competitor landing page. I'll get to that, what that is. So where the particular company or the particular client is placing itself. For example, if they say that their key strength lies in the ease of implementation, how well placed they are as compared to their competitors in this regard. If ease of implementation is a strong suit for that particular client, maybe integrations are the strong suit for the competitor. So somewhere, it's sort of a mapping which helps us figure out what is the strength of that particular client and what we can use in that particular competitor base. So yeah, so a lot of stuff we collect in this sheet, and it gives us insight into what all we can say through our pages and what all uh, uh, should be our key selling points that we want to portray in those landing pages.
And of course, the basic things are already there. For example, in the messaging sheet, we will obviously create a lot of things like, and you open the messaging sheet once.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the messaging sheet, right, you would want to understand, okay, how does the competitor talk, or how does the customer or the company talk about themselves? Who are their user personas? We also collect some of their personas LinkedIn profiles, which you can actually go through and you can look at, right? We also create, okay, what kind of companies do they work in? What are some triggers? uh, when do they buy? What are the USPs? What are some awards we can use? Pain points, challenges, all of the general stuff that you do, that we would highly recommend you document in one place and keep it. Because if you're creating one asset, no matter what it is, landing page, ad copy, or anything, you probably have to create multiple, right? So now this is one thing that if you have documented once and you have a system for it to document this, you can do it once, and for the next time when you do it, it becomes very easy to just replicate this. And it is going to reduce the amount of time taken to do this by at least like 5-6 times if you have a good process for it at the end of it.
That's very true. And I can vouch for it. This has actually helped us a lot of times because, whenever you're creating creatives for a particular company, there are a lot of things that, there are a lot of times when you have to go back and forth. So, there's a particular, yes, you have calls, you have discussions with clients regarding everything, but unless you have all the data in one place, you cannot just, it just makes things simpler. You don't have to bug people, you don't have to bug everybody over and over again. You just go back to that sheet, go back to what data you had collected earlier. And of course, you and every member of your team, they can just pick up data from there and go ahead with that. So it becomes very streamlined. It becomes very easy to just go forth from there. So yeah, we tend to spend a lot of time in this pre-research phase, in which we fill our marketing sheet. And once we have that, then comes the part of actually creating the different kind of content, the different creatives for that particular client, which includes landing pages, which includes ad copies, different kinds of ad copies, different email workflows, and whatnot, all different sorts of things. So yes, coming to our landing pages. So as I mentioned earlier, the process that we like to follow is we don't figure out the exact copy at the initial stage. What we like to figure out is, there are three basic things that we like to figure out first. And what are these? Always, each landing page has a goal. Each landing page has an audience, a specific audience, and then each landing page has a particular message that you want to portray to that audience. Now, this is probably one of the things that differentiates every landing page from each other, because there are a lot of different goals that can be there for each landing page. Though most of them usually have this common goal of scheduling calls or booking demos and all that, but there can be a variety of goals, and each landing page can have a different goal. Similarly, they can have a different kind of audience. So before setting out to decide what the page should look like or what exact content should go in it, you first have to figure out what the page should achieve for that particular campaign. That is the goal. Now, once you have figured out the goal, then you get into figuring out who the audience is, who you wish to talk to through that page, who you wish to drive to that page. And then the message, how you want to position yourself, or what is it that you want, basically, what action would you like your audience to clearly be able to take after that? There should be some takeaway for them after they have visited your page. What is that one takeaway that you would
and
like?
this will be very visible when we're doing the examples, right? We'll show you what goal audience message we're taking for specific landing pages, and then we can get it. Then it's going to be very clear, okay, why did we pick this? Why did we pick that? What happens if we change something? We can have those discussions there. Yeah.
By the way, any questions at any point, please do drop in your, I don't know.
Just drop it in the chat. Yeah.
Drop it in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right. So once we have our goal, audience, and message figured out, we move on to collecting some inspiration. Of course, for writing inspiration, you have to have something. So there are a lot of good sources out there on the internet from where you can drive your inspiration. There is, okay, we have a question here. What are the different types of goals? Can you name some? So as I briefly mentioned, there could be goals like scheduling a call, for example. So for any landing page, like there could be a demo page. There could be any page, for example. I'll just quickly show you.
So the goals depend a lot on the audience. So let's not get into the examples right now. We'll get derailed too much. So the goals depend on the campaign itself, right? And the campaigns can have multiple goals that depend on the business. For example, it can have a schedule a demo if the business objectives are to schedule demos. If you are running campaigns to generate some sort of demand, you want to increase just the newsletter size, then the goal would be to just get people to sign up to something. If the goal, if your business objective again is to If your product is somewhere where people have to sign up, then that could be something. Now, if you're running something like a brand awareness campaign, your goals would be very different. You would want to look at, okay, are we able to build a good affinity to that brand, which would mean things like, okay, what is the time on the page, how are they behaving on the page, or what's the average scroll depth of the page, right? So those could be the different goals based on your campaign's objectives. And so the goal of your campaign sort of trickles down to the landing page. Does that answer your question? Great. We'll actually go through exactly like 3 specific examples. So let's rush this section, and so we'll be able to get to the examples, Sukriti, right?
Yeah. So where were we? We were on the, yes, okay, right. So we were on the inspiration part of it.
Yep.
So yeah, so there are a lot of places from where you can drive inspiration for creating your landing pages. For example, one of these is
We'll just share links, right? That's fine.
yeah, a few links we'll share with you. For example, you could just take a look at what different kinds of landing pages are there, what kind of lingo they've used, what kind of goals they are putting. So there are a ton of resources which we can we can just share these links with you later, which you can use. You can even thanks Dave. Yes. So a lot of other links are there, and a lot of sources from which you can take inspiration. And so you have your goal with you, you have your audience with you, you have your message, you have a lot of research with you, and you have inspiration. So here onwards, you can start with your outline creation. Outline creation is basically your what you would say exactly the way what all information should go on your landing page, which section comes where, all that kind of stuff. So outline creation is actually a pretty critical stage of landing page development, because here this decides pretty much the blueprint, or what you will finally your wireframe would look like, the wireframe that you will send for design and development. So outline is sort of like the map to your landing page, that okay, this is these are the sections which I want to go on my page, these what I want to say, in which sequence I want to say, all that. So there are a lot of different tools.
If you can just show an example, right?
Yeah, I will be showing that example. And there are a lot of different tools that you can use for outline creation. Couple of tools that we have used in the past include Miro, there is Lucid, there is Zen Wireframe, a couple of tools are there. So this is actually the Miro board that we use for our brain dumps.
Yeah, and maybe you can look at it, just how chaotic that is, right? This is how the landing page creation process looks like when you're actually doing it. Doing a lot of research. There's a lot of scribbles, there's a lot of notes.
It's like a brain dump, basically. Whatever weird
But yeah,
thoughts.
can you go to the flow? Let's try and wrap this up in 7 minutes so that we can get to the examples.
Yeah. So yeah, this is sort of an example of the kind of outlines that we create. So this is the entire landing page, where when you land on that page, the hero section is what you see first, which will contain the main banner of the page, the main message that you want to do from your through your page, and what you want in the hero section, what you want the next section to look like, what you want to say in the third section, if there is something that you want to justify from your hero in the third section, all different sorts of things that so there are some metrics that go here. Then how do you approach things? What does a team look like? So basically, a sequence of what all you want to say in your page, and a lot of this is where a majority of brainstorming goes through, because there would always be a lot of stuff. It's like there can be both ways. You might have too much, and most often in most cases you would have a lot to say, a lot that you would want to say in that page, but then you have to drill down, really pick out and be selective that okay, this is what I, can say here, and without going overboard. And so, yeah, this is where a lot of brainstorming goes into. So the outline
So-
is the map of your exact landing page,
Mhm.
what will go where, and what are the different sections you're going to have.
So when you're doing this, right, don't even think about the copy. Don't think about what goes on the page. Don't think about any of that.
Yeah.
Just look at, okay, what is the story I'm telling, and just create this, right? So for example, we haven't written any information.
Correct.
It's not, and this could be written for any brand. Like if you take this same story, apply it to a B2C brand, it would still work.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
This is for spear growth, by the way. So if you apply to a software company, you apply to anything, it will work. So your message should not be specific. It should just make sense in a flow sense, right? Like the flow should be convincing, and it should basically just flow, right, of the entire page. And that's the important aspect of doing this exercise. Don't try to be very, very specific.
Yeah. Because figuring out exactly what you say where will come at a later stage.
Yeah.
This is what you want to say, how you want to portray yourself. So this is the background work, backstage work. If this goes well, then your exact copy will come out to be definitely well.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one. I don't think there's any if there are any questions on this specific thing, Naveen will get to your question later on, right? So is there anything specific that you want to understand about the outline? Let us know. Now there's some additional research involved, which again just means that, okay, you figured this out, you have all your information, but when you start writing it, obviously you would need to you may need to do some more research. It depends on a lot of different things, but yeah, you'll just make sure you create some time for that. Then comes the wireframe creation.
Yeah.
Right.
So wireframe creation is actually, if this is the map, then this is your sketch, basically. So this is exactly what your page will look like once it gets developed. So again, there are a couple of tools for wireframing that you can use. Miro is one, then there is Lucid, there are a lot. So
anything you can make a box with and write text
exactly
in works.
Works, exactly. So
maybe you can just go to an example. Right? We have 3 minutes to wrap it up. All three of these
so so for example, here this is one of the wireframes. So, or if you this is again a wireframe that we
stick to the one that you just showed, because then we just showed the outline for the same thing.
Yeah.
But the outline that you just saw on the left, this is the wireframe for that same page.
Yeah, correct.
When you scroll in, right? So when you're creating the wireframe, you can do it in any way. Don't try to there are some very good wireframing software. You can use a lot of those. It just needs to be put in place, right? So this is how the wireframe for the exact same thing that you just saw looks like.
So basically, what each section would look like, what you would want there to be, and the grids. There are some grids, there are some videos. This is how this should look like. This is the exact text. Different kinds of layout elements that you can just drag and drop, essentially. And once you have the wireframe in place, you can just hand it over to your design team, and they can create a design out of it from any Figma file or whatever. And then that goes, once you approve it, there are a lot, of course, at every stage, there are a lot of reviews that go through. You have to make sure that whatever message and whatever, you are putting across, it is in line with your brand guidelines, and it is exactly what you wish to achieve. It is in line with the goal, message, and audience again. So once everything is in line, then you can send it for the designing, and then follows the development.
So now let's just give a quick overview of the entire thing, right? So can you just go back to your notes?
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at this, right, the pre-research section is going to help you write the copy for it. You're going to be able to use a lot of things from there, just literally copy paste it. You've said that, okay, I need to put some social proof. You have the list of customers in the pre-research. You want to put, maybe it's a competitor landing page. You have the list of competitors in the landing page. You have whatever information you need. You'll be able to pick it up from the pre-research. You'll be able to pick it up from there. Sukriti glazed over something very fast, which is very important, the goal setting part. At every stage, you have to look at, okay, how do you judge whether this is a good landing page or not? You don't care, no one should care about how they feel about it. The only thing that matters is we have set our goals. Is this something that aligns to the goals? And that's what you'll have to get back to it repeatedly.
Yeah.
Again, inspiration, if you have a list of pages like Deep had, it's pretty easy to just go ahead quickly. Don't spend too much time on it. Look at a few inspiration. If you're looking at inspiration from your industry, you can use it more directly. If you have some more time, look at inspiration from other industries to see if you can pick up something which is very different from what people have seen, right? It's easier to pick up different things from different industries than your own. uh,
Plus,
I mean,
what I believe is, plus inspiration also comes from, for example, if you're creating a competitor landing page, looking at what competitors have. So
yeah,
what kind of stuff they are saying, what are the lingos that they are using, what kind of points, trigger points that they are hitting. So maybe
yeah.
you could, use those kind of, that same mindset to portray
Mhm.
on your page to make it perform
Yeah.
better.
Now, after the wireframing is done, you give it to the designer who designs it. And after the designer has designed it, you give it to the developer who develops it. Right? Now, I'll just give you a time. Deep asked a very important question: how much time is spent in each one of these things? Right? Now, pre-research is a bulk process which is done for the entirety of marketing.
Yeah,
We spend an entire week on this, which is basically around 4 people spending about an hour or two a day, or maybe a little more,
little more. Yeah,
right? So we spend about, but we
research
do a
is,
very extensive, it's not
yeah,
just for landing page, it's for a lot of stuff. So we spend
correct.
about 25 hours just on the pre-research,
Yeah,
right? That's
that's
the
it.
total amount of research that goes in. So around 20 hours on pre-research. The goal setting thing, when you've done the pre-research, the goal setting takes like 2 minutes once you get good at it,
Yeah,
right? If
correct.
you aren't good at it, you will probably still take 2 minutes, you just won't do a good job at it. So the message to put across, what's the message? uh, Right. Okay. Sorry. The inspiration, right? Inspiration, once you've looked at it, you can procrastinate as much as you want to, but I would recommend wrapping it up in 15 minutes. Spend 15 minutes, at max 30 minutes. Don't take more time than that. Right. Again, outline creation and review. This takes time. This would take, depending on the page, right? So
Yeah,
usually when you create one landing page for one company, right? Uh, you usually create 5 6 landing pages from the same outline. So
that's true.
depending on how new the outline is, it might take anywhere from, if it's a very new outline, the first outline has taken us, I think it took us around 1.5 hours once. Like
Yes,
two
it did.
people on a call
Yeah,
discussing, it took us
working
one and a
session.
half hours just to do the outline,
Yeah,
because it was a tough one. Otherwise, it usually takes like less than 30 minutes,
yeah.
right? It depends a lot, but this is giving you the exact timelines. The additional research depends on how well you've done your previous research. The wireframe creation, if you've done very good research in pre-research, you probably will not take any time at all because you already
Wireframe
have it.
doesn't take much time. If you have the outline, you have the research, it'll be done quickly.
Yes, wireframing, if you have everything else,
Yes.
does not take more than like 30 minutes or
30
an hour.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Max.
Right. Now, what takes time in wireframe is are you able to fit the text in the right character limits and stuff?
That's true.
For
Yes.
that, look at their text size. There is a tool which you can edit text on their website directly, and you'll be able to say, okay, is this the right size of text or not? And that is the most important thing that you're actually doing in wireframe creation. Wireframe creation, you already have everything. You're making sure it's in the right character sizes. That's all
Character
you're
sizes.
doing.
So if the line is supposed to be that big, it cannot go that big. So
Yeah.
depending on the kind of design element, you might have to cut a few words. You might have to change the content a bit. That's why it
Yep.
takes a bit of time.
Right. Any other questions on this? Naveen, I remember you have a question. We'll get back to that during the examples. I think they'll answer it. Right? Is this clear till now? We'll go into examples now. If this is not clear, we'll be skipping a lot of things to be able to cover multiple examples. Cool. Send any questions if you have. Is the designing wireframe done differently for mobile and desktop? It
Good
should be.
question. Yeah, good
It
question.
should be.
Should be technically, yes.
We
um,
it should be. So it okay, so should you, so what, since you are doing it right, I would recommend just pick one, either mobile or desktop, depending on what is the primary channel. In B2B SaaS usually, or primary device size in B2B SaaS, usually desktop users just have a better conversion rate, just are more qualified, all of that stuff. So we only do it for desktop, and we give it to the we don't do the designing or development, so we give it to our clients, and then get to figure it out. And if they have any questions, they come back to us. So yes, it should be done differently. The designing part, it can be done differently. Wireframing can be done the same way. We'll not get into that. How does it translate very well? Because that's a designer's sort of task mostly. Right. Let's get to the examples. Let's try and cover as many as possible.
Okay. So there are multiple kinds of landing pages that we can create, but for the purpose of this session, we have picked 3 of the most common ones that we create most often. The first of these is competitor landing pages, then there's the service landing page, then there's demand generation landing page. Let's begin with the competitor landing page. The purpose of that, again, whenever you're creating a landing page, where do you start with? You start with the goal, you start with the audience and the message. Those are the 3 critical things, always.
Yeah.
So what is the goal when you're creating a competitor landing page? The goal is, again, to schedule a call. So
in this particular case, right, it may be different based on the business, but in this case that we're taking, it's to schedule a call, because that's what the it's a very bottom of the funnel content. So the goal is schedule a call. Right?
Why it's bottom of the funnel? Because of the simple reason that it's the people who are searching for the competitor landing page, they probably came to your landing page when they were searching for an alternative to another product, right? Or so they already know what your product does. They already know about the industry. They have an idea. They have that need for searching for a solution, and they are probably comparing the solutions. That is where they have reached to your page. So in order to convince them to book a call, there would be a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, and you have to figure out how you say. So again, now this has solved 2 of your problems. This has now you know what is the goal of the page, and you know who the audience is. The audience is aware. They know what your product achieves, and they are looking for a solution for a particular pain or a particular trigger. Now comes the part of figuring out what message you want to put in. Now, when you're creating a competitor landing page, see, for example, let's take a specific example of Sprinto. During your research, you would have gathered specific information. I'll quickly run you through what this product is. This is basically an automation platform. Yeah, mute. You're on mute, Ishan.
Let's just do the research part with you, right? One section of the research part we'll do with you, and we'll show you an example of a completed the Sprinto page. We'll just show them, right? Otherwise, it's going to be us walking us through, right? So we want you to do this with us, right? So the competitor page, again, what's the goal? Schedule a call. What's the audience, and what do they know? They already know about the industry, what your product does. They probably know what features you have. You don't need to talk about anything they know. If you start talking about that stuff, they will tune you out. They will not listen to anything you have to say. As it is, no one reads anything. Now, the third part, what is your message? Your message, since we know the goal and audience, is, hey, why are we different? And why
what are
to
we
work
offering
with us?
which is better than there?
Yes. Now, if so, you don't have to talk about what you are offering. You have only have to talk about why are you better than the competitor.
Yeah.
No one cares about what you do, because they already know that.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there might be a small section of the audience who might also be who might already be using your competitor, and they may be looking to switch. But that is the secondary audience, right? So that's also something you want to keep in mind, because now you understand the audience, you understand the goals, right? You got the message. The message is, how are we different, or how easy is it to switch? That's secondary message. We have figured this out, right? Now, Sukriti already went through the market landscape thing, so I'll not repeat that. Market landscape, just figure out what are 2 things, just 2 things, and maybe you can open that, right? You have to figure out what are 2 things people use to take decisions, 2 factors, right? In this particular thing that we didn't delete from a competitor, it was for a client that one of them was one place, like everything needs to be in one place. And second thing is, how easy is it to implement their solution? Those are the 2 deciding factors for purchase.
And you'll get to know about the deciding factors when you're doing this pre-research.
Yes. And you can ask your competitors, you can ask your clients, you can ask their sales teams, You can look at their sales deck. You can listen to their sales recordings. There's all the ways you get to know this.
Yeah.
Can you maybe just show what it looks like? Just like write company, competitor on this graph and show what that would look like finally.
Yeah. Okay. So, for example, for the example that we took, if
Just
it's
take company, competitor. Yeah.
if we say, I'll put the name of the company.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, for example, we take this as the
One of our
company
clients.
which we are, one of our clients. So we say that, Σᴘᴇᴜ, and we take one of their competitors, any other competitor maybe.
Yeah.
So
Competitor 1.
competitor 1,
Yeah. And then competitor 2 also, just maybe map that out somewhere. Right. Now maybe you can show how you would use this.
Yeah. So for example, on the page, if I know that Σᴘᴜᴜ as a product is easier to implement as compared to competitor 2. So whenever I'm creating a competitor landing page, which is comparing Σᴘᴜᴜ against competitor 2, I would probably highlight ease of implementation because I know that Σᴘᴜᴜ is better in that aspect as compared to competitor 2. I would probably not talk about one place because here competitor 2 is better than Σᴘᴜᴜ, right? Vice versa, if I am creating a landing page which portrays the comparison between Σᴘᴜᴜ and competitor 1, I would probably highlight one place because Σᴘᴜᴜ is better than competitor 1, and not talk about either of them. So this is how this marketing landscape graph will help in deciding exactly what you are saying in which landing page. So so that is again one of the use cases in which you can put this sheet, and this is where the research again helps.
This is very useful. Please do not sleep on this. When you're doing any competitor thing, it's a blog, it's a ad. This one graph is going to be, you'll see better conversion rates, CTRs, all of that stuff if you do this well, right? Because it's easier to write copy for the truth. The next thing, we'll just rush over to the next thing because of time. We're already going a little slow. The market research, right?
Yeah.
You can look at G2 or Capterra reviews for this, right?
So,
yeah, maybe you can just open one page.
Yeah, so this is another one of the clients, and so this is a comparison between a client product and one of their competitors. So as you can see, we have a lot of directly usable material here. That okay, this offers a fair trial. There's no free trial here. Things like okay, we have more features on offer than the competing product.
And which specific features do we have, and who those features are for, right?
Correct.
We'll be able to look at that.
You can look at all of that, and there are a list of pros and cons that you can take up. So yeah, there might be areas where your product is not as well performing as the other one, so that's okay. You can pick up the area where it is performing better. So here, if you see, the support and training are two areas in which this product is outshining the other one. So these are the two areas that you
even if you go to the
highlight.
cons of the product of our competitor, right?
Yeah,
the second con.
Yeah, correct. So it's painful to implement again. So you can use this kind of information, this kind of verifiable information, and convert it to your advantage by portraying that this product is better in comparison to the competing product on implementation front. Things like this. So information that there is a lot of information that you can get from the review pages on the different websites like Capterra, like G2, and eventually you can even use badges whenever there are a lot of companies which get awards on these platforms, and you can use those badges on your competitor pages to portray that, for example, this is one of
just one more thing about this, right? Can you go back to that?
Yeah.
When you're let's look at the support example again, right? Don't say we have better support than our competitor. Use the word that their customers have used. What is the exact word that their customers have used? Can you go back to that con thing? Yeah, they literally said painful to implement.
Yes.
You can say that Aware Manager is painful to implement, right? Or you can use that we can, or you can say we have a good project implementation methodology.
Just play off the words that they have used as con for the competing product and use it to your advantage for your product.
Yeah. So this is why you can just copy stuff from it, and you're writing better copy because you're using the words that your audience actually uses, not something that you as a copywriter thinks about. right? Um,
So I was talking about some of the badges or some of the statistics.
yeah,
So
maybe you can just show the
uh,
example. We have like 15 minutes for 2 examples now.
yeah, so this is just a quick overview of one of the competitor pages that we created. As you can see that, you play up the features that you're offering, and this is the kind of stuff that you can portray once you, find that kind of information on Capterra, on G2. You can just say that, how this product is better in which respect, it meets requirement versus this much for one, it is easy to use versus it was. So
Yeah.
key features, key aspects where your product is outshining the other one, specifically those things which the users of the competing products have highlighted as cons. If you can play off those and you can portray that as your product strengths, you have achieved your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it'll
just
convert.
quick shout out to Sprinto. It was very easy for us to create this because they really are better than their competitors.
That is very
Right. So
true.
in almost every segment that we looked at, Sprinto was doing better. So it was very easy for us to just say that, yeah, we are actually better because we are.
Yeah.
Right. So if you are working with a company where you're not better than your competitors, it is going to be a problem. Just FYI. Right. It's going to be more difficult.
Difficult to find data. Yeah. All right. So moving on. Any questions as of now?
Yeah. Just drop them in the chat. Yep. They'll keep dropping the questions. Let's go to the next one.
All right. Coming to the second category of landing pages, which is the service page. For this, I would like to pick up our page. I am particularly happy with this one. So this is basically a service landing page, which is supposed to, again, it's a service landing page. So it's supposed to tell people what you do, why you do it the best, and the goal. Again, start with the goal.
Yeah. So just here, right? We didn't tell people what we do.
Yeah.
Right. So
We played with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We never talk about what we do because
Yeah.
if you look at the goal audience message framework, right? Again, the goal is to schedule a call. The audience is people who are looking. We understood, okay, who's the audience, and they already know what a marketing agency is. What does an ad management agency does?
Yes.
So in this particular case, we did not have to talk about what we do because they know.
Yeah.
Right. So again, yeah. And then the message, right? The message is why work with us versus anyone else.
That's true.
That's the message.
That's the message. So here, once we had our goal, audience, and message, of course, we already had that. We went ahead with,
Yeah, we showed you the outline. Yeah.
Already walked you through with the outline, something like this, where we, have.
Yeah.
I moved something, sorry. So yeah, so we went ahead with the outline creation, and once we had everything that, the brain dump here, we went ahead with the wireframe creation, where things like, okay, what is the core message, what is our core offering, what are the social proofs, all of that comes here. Wireframing, schedule a call. So again, another important aspect of a landing page is the kind of CTAs that you use and where in the page you want them to be. It's actually very important. It's not like you can, place a CTA wherever. No, it has to make sense with the flow of the content, with the flow of the overall page. So yeah, you start with your core offering, what sets you apart, what kind of results you've achieved, and then, so that is the kind of flow that you come up with when you're creating the outline. And it's again, quite an important aspect of the entire process. So yeah, once you have things like this, that is when you use the tool that Ishan mentioned, where you can directly edit on the page to check the kind of font sizes, the kind of layout, if it's working and everything is in place or not. And once that is there, then you go ahead with the creation of the page. And this is something that finally what it looks like after the design and development, something like that. So yeah.
So some things to just maybe I'll just point out a couple of things on this page, and then we can move on to the next example, right? If you go to the top, right? So on the top, right, we know that our customers use the word ads, right? There can be demand gen, lead gen. There's a lot of stuff that can be used. Our customers use ads for SEO purposes. Ranking for performance marketing agency is easier, right? So that's the kind of stuff that we've added here. Now, scale without channel lock-in is the one benefit of ours. This is what Naveen had asked. I don't think he's still on the call, right? Once you go done, there's social proof right here, right? So that so in the first section, right, we've already sort of built trust, and we've built some amount of some amount of questions that, okay, what does scale without channel lock-in even mean,
Yes.
right? And if you look at anyone else generate pipeline, may not even make sense. So you're only writing for your audience. It does not need to make sense to anyone else.
That's
Our
true. That is where
audience,
the goal audience and message goes. Yes.
yes. For example, our audience calls sales pipeline pyar se. So we also called it pipeline,
Pipeline,
right?
yeah.
Otherwise, this sentence is not grammatically correct or does not really mean anything. Generate pipeline does not mean anything. It only means something to our audience. When you scroll down,
Yeah.
right, the second section is only talking about why are we different. We haven't even told them about what we do.
Correct.
There's only 4 reasons to work with us. We have mentioned those 4 things here.
So basically, we are being to the point. No excessive fluff, nothing. Jo bolna hai wo bolo, and leave out the rest.
Right. Next section, right? So again, this is some stuff. Then we just sort of like showed some results because that's what they wanted to see, and then we got them to schedule a call with us. And then a lot of our clients were asking for examples of what kind of ads you create, what does that look like, right? So we use this section.
Portfolio.
Yeah. So we use this section as a portfolio thing, but we don't really want them to click on things and look at things. We don't want anyone to look at our ads, look at this and that. We just want people to know that yes, we do good work, but this should not be a focus. That's why these are so small that you cannot read them, and that's on purpose, right? Then there's that's it, and then there's a lot of questions that people ask us. That goes here, right? It's a very, very to the point page. I've taken this to a sales call and read it, and they closed. So,
Best validation ever.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Anything from anybody as of now?
Yeah.
Great.
Nope. Okay.
So far, so good. To the last example now. This is a demand gen LP. This is one of the most interesting things that we've done. So demand generation landing page. This was actually for something.
So I'm sorry to cut you off. Let's just sort of like, because I think this will go over time because this is the most complex one. We will have to go 5-10 minutes over time. So has this been useful till now? Like, has the entire process been useful? I think we've been able to at least communicate the entire process to you. Hopefully it's followable stuff, right? Got it. Yeah. In an hour, it's very difficult to maybe like get you to do stuff. Great. Right. So we will be doing one more landing page. We'll take our time with this. We'll not rush through this. If you have to drop off at 4, please do. We won't mind. If you want to drop off now, please do. We're going to take our time and create the third landing page. Right. So there's no rush now, Sukriti. Okay. Relax and maybe we'll even ideate here because demand gen landing pages, if we rush through that, it's going to do them a lot of injustice.
Yeah.
So let's just start with what demand gen is and then go to the landing page for this.
Okay. So in this particular case, demand generation is literally generating the demand for a product. So basically, the audience here might not really be aware of what they're looking for. They might not even be aware that they have an issue and they need a solution for that. So here, for this particular product, this was a product in an industry where people were not even looking for a solution again. So we had to sort of point out that, this is what you're doing, but this is wrong. So why not do this instead?
Right.
Now,
so, just maybe explaining what is the alternative demand gen, right? Everything else that we were doing was demand capture. There was existing demand. Wherever that demand is, we are showing up. We are not being creative. We are telling people what they want. We're making sure they get the information that they are looking for. And you do not be creative at all.
Basically, people are already looking for it. But demand generation is you have to make people come to a page for which they're not even looking.
Yes. Now, the main difference, one more difference is when you're targeting people in demand gen, you usually never know where in the buyer's journey they are. So you don't know what they're looking for. You don't have a lot of information about the audience, and they almost never are in the buying stage. It's
Yes.
very unlikely that they are in the buying stage, and this is the major, this is the biggest mistake most marketers make here. You do not know in which stage they are, and they most probably aren't in the purchase stage. If you try to push down a scheduler call down their throat, they probably won't do it.
Mm.
Right, because they just don't want, they were looking at cat videos on LinkedIn because people have started posting that as well.
Yeah.
Right,
So they're like, मुझे चाहिए ही नहीं, मुझे क्यों दे रहे हो? Sort of.
right.
So that kind of stuff. So the
Let's
first,
ideate first before the example.
yeah. So
Yeah.
before even thinking about what that landing page would hold and everything, the first thing that we wanted to do was just, capture their attention somehow. यार सुनो तो सही हम बोल क्या रहे हैं. So for this, what we tried to do is just get them to just stop scrolling and look at what we're trying to say.
So let's look at a few. Let's create a demand gen landing page together, like a new one. Right. Let's, for example, let's pick a product. Right. Let's pick any product. Let's come up with goals, message, and audience. Let's try to create a demand gen like message for it.
Yeah.
Right. That would be interesting. Then we can show what we did for a particular client of ours. Right. So I think that will be more useful.
That would be a great thing, a great way to go about it. Any ideas, guys?
Yeah.
With what product would you like to play with? Solid.
Let's take something which like a business model and everything that everyone already understands. Right, modern fintech platform. I'm not sure if people already would understand this. Yeah, let's take something very easy to understand. B2B, because we're just good at B2B and not B2C. Cred B2B.
Thread.
I'm not sure about Cred's B2B side, honestly. So
No.
let's pick something. Anything. Okay, what's like any business model that you, or any software that you all use? Right. Does anyone, so Miro, right? Does everyone here know about Miro, what Miro does? SEMrush again might be more niche for some people. Does everyone know about Miro, or does everyone know about Slack? Slack is very common. Does everyone know about Slack? Or we could do a service page, because service for, like, we can just create something for sᴘᴇᴜᴜ right now. So yeah, maybe Slack or sᴘᴇᴜᴜᴜ. Slack, or basically a marketing service company. Right? I think those two are more well known. What would you like to create a demand gen page for? I think everyone knows about Slack. Grammarly. Let's, okay, Grammarly also. There's three options: Slack, Grammarly, or a marketing service company. So pick one of the three. Slack. One more vote for Slack, and we're doing Slack. Two more for Slack. Okay, there's a bunch of more.
Done.
Great, we're doing Slack. Great. So everyone knows Slack. What Slack is? Slack is a messaging platform. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Primary benefit of Slack is that it's very easy to. So Slack, interestingly, has a very, very good user onboarding flow. It's probably one of the best in the industry, right? So you come into Slack and you become a user, and then once you start automating things, they actually call you a power user. There are differences in the two users, right? So when we want to get someone into Slack, there are some specific problems that people are solving. The problems are usually around communication, right? How to communicate better in the company, right? Now, so let's just list down. Okay, let's try to figure out who the audience is. Right? Let's go through the goal. Right, we'll get to the goal at the end here. Just for demand gen, we'll get to the goal at the end, because I think that's going to be interesting. But yeah, let's pick out the audience, right? What do we know about the audience? What kind of companies do they work in? What kind of people are they?
Yeah.
What kind of challenges are they facing, irrespective of whether or not they're looking for a solution?
So we know that they need smoother communication.
Yeah.
Probably need a way to share ideas or documents.
If you want to unmute yourself and contribute, you can do that. You want to type it out, feel free to do that. Yeah. So what else, you know what are some challenges that they're facing? Not like don't try to list down the features. What are some challenges, like specific challenges that they are featuring, that they are looking for? Right. So Sukriti is very well written down. Okay, what are the stuff that Slack can do? Now, what are the challenges it's solving? Why would someone, why does, so you all use Slack, right? Why not use WhatsApp for, or what are they currently using, if you want to look at this, right? If someone is not using Slack, what are they using right now? We've seen large businesses run on WhatsApp, honestly. Yep. You have to use, exactly. They're using
Different capabilities for different
Yeah.
capabilities. If you use different tools, yes.
Yeah.
Again.
So maybe we figure out, and I'm not saying this, we've done the research, but maybe using a different platform for chat, like a Google Chat or a WhatsApp, plus they're using something just for share for calls like a Zoom. Then they're using some Microsoft Teams maybe, and then they're using maybe a different platform to share files like a Google Drive.
Yeah.
For groups, again, I'm not even sure how they're even doing groups, right? So maybe there are some grouping facility scenarios, but it's very hard to even the groups go in like a WhatsApp format, so the groups also start moving around. Right. So they probably are using this kind of tech stack, and it's a lot of stuff, right? So one problem is that they have a very complex tech stack. Right. This could be like one level of problem, that they need to use a lot of tools. Now, what are some, okay, if they're using a lot of tools, why is this a pain point, or what all does this affect? How does this affect the company, right? Maybe it takes a lot of time to onboard people. Maybe things get lost all the time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. Yes, it wastes a lot of time. So can you list down those three things? Time wasted. Yeah. Employee time wasted. Yeah. Cost. Yeah. What else? Things getting lost all the time. The frustration and all of that, right? But I think time
Traceability.
wasted mein aa gaya. Yeah, things get lost. Yeah. And then fourth one could be, takes a lot of time to onboard employees, because you have to onboard them into all of these different tools. And it's like a pain to onboard people into new tools, into a new tech stack, and make all those accounts, and then offboarding becomes difficult because you have to then remove them from all the accounts, right? Then there are all of these different things that we can use, right? And now these things that we've just listed down, this could be our messages.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Still part of the audience. Let's still keep it as a part of the audience for now, because for message we'll do something more. Procurement, credential sharing, exactly. So let's keep this as part of the audience, and let's try to come up with something more creative.
Yeah.
Right. Now for the message, I want you to think of something that is not related to Slack. Whatever you are talking about should not be related to Slack. It should be related to somehow solving their problem, or it should be related to somehow showing that you know or you understand their problem.
Relatability. Yes.
Yes. Or maybe showing that how to solve the problem without using Slack. And I'm putting down this restriction just for this exercise. That's not what you have to do every time for demand gen, but this is an exercise, right? So what is something that you can show them? It could be an ebook. It could be a game of some sort. I'm not sure. It could be some sort of a Google Chrome extension that, I don't know, just keeps track of things. It could be anything. It does not have to be a good idea. It just has to be an idea. We're not creating a real campaign here, right? Not okay. So the solution should not be Slack. Whatever you're proposing, the solution should not be Slack. The solution should be something else, and do not need to talk about Slack in your message at all. right? If you do not have Slack, but you have to talk to this audience, how would you solve the problem? Like one of these problems that we just listed down. I'll give you a couple of examples to get started with, right? Yeah, team activity that enhances communication. Perfect, right? Maybe we now talk about some sort of team activity. We create a course on team bonding, right? So let's write down that as a message, right? Team activity that enhance communication, right? Yeah, let's just copy whatever Deep wrote. That's perfect, right? We copy kar lo. Right? Any other examples that you can think of? Right? Maybe you can do something even more fun, right? Maybe there's a trend that you're seeing in the market that a lot of companies are doing a 4-day work week, right? So maybe you can tie that into it and say that, okay, you create some sort of tool or some sort of quiz that if you fill out, it tells you how many hours you spend wasted on just communicating and stuff, right? And if you're able to create more than one day, show that more than one day is wasted, you can now get an email template or a social media post that you can share to your management and say that, hey, we waste so much time, why not just move to Slack and give us one day off, right?
Yeah.
Again, yeah, exactly, yeah, that's what I was thinking about ClickUp.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's another thing that we can use. So you get the idea, right? The concept is you don't have to think about, or you don't. The solution should not be you. The solution, or it could be you. It could be something else as well, right? So the solution could be anything. But in doing any of these activities, you are clearly showcasing that you understand the problem really well and you understand how to solve the problem really well. And since you're not selling something, people will listen to you more easily. Is this clear? Like the context of demand gen? Right now, since you have done that, your message is very different from what we were thinking about earlier. Right? We aren't talking about, hey, save cost, hey, make things more trackable, hey, make employee onboarding, offboarding easily. No.
You're
We're
just
not going to
telling
talk
them
about
we understand you, we know what your issue is.
yes. Now, this is much more creative than a normal campaign, right? Now, that's the message. Now comes to, okay, what is our goal then? Right? For example, the team act, like, is it like number of social media shares for the idea that I gave, or for Deep, is it the number of times someone watched the video? Yes, it could be.
Could be.
Right? It could actually be one of those two things.
Yeah.
You don't have to get people to schedule a call to your software.
That's just one of the goals. There can be multiple goals. Yes.
Now, in demand gen, right, it sounds a lot like branding. It sounds a lot of like other things. The key factor is you're targeting only your audience and no one else. It gets more expensive to target them, but that's all who you are targeting. So no one apart from your target audience is looking at this. Is what you're trying to achieve with your targeting.
Yeah.
But you don't know where in the buyer journey they are. So you show them any message like this. Once you show them any message like this, the goal depends on the entire context. Now,
Yes.
if you are doing something like, let's say, if you just sort of get a little lazy. Now, when you get a little lazy, and I'll get to the KPI, that's what I was getting to. You might just say that, hey, save cost or save traceability, make things more traceability. You might do things like calculate the complete employee time wasted. Right? Now, those are good messages as well for demand gen. I'm just showing you what the other examples are. Now, why are we doing demand gen? Is it just to feel good or is it just for branding? No, like the KPIs are increased average customer value, because these are goals, and I'll tell you why we need a third thing or a fourth thing in demand gen. So usually the goals for demand gen are increased average customer value, reduced like increased lead velocity, Lead velocity is how much time it takes them to go from a lead to closing and becoming a customer, right? So these are usually the two things, and which these two things mean that you have generated revenue. But these are the two goals of demand gen, because you're only targeting with demand gen higher value customers and no one else. Because demand gen is expensive, you cannot target everyone. You're only targeting people in your enterprise segment, or people who would pay you a lot more money than an average customer. You're only targeting those kinds of companies, and that's why you're showing this message to them, to the right people in those companies. Now, but this takes a lot of time to track. So what are some metrics that we can look at right now? So right now, what we're looking at here is one, uh, just the click-through rate of your ads, right? So if your ads are as creative as the two that we discussed right now, you probably will have a much higher click-through rate than anything else that any of your other ads. And we've seen this: normal ads 0.4, these creative ads 1.4 CTR. It's a huge difference. Your cost per click goes down by a lot.
Yeah.
Second thing, but that alone is not enough. Second thing that you're looking for is the second thing that you would be looking for is how are they behaving on the page, which would mean that, okay, how much are they scrolling and all of that stuff. And the third thing that you would be looking for, it could be scroll, it could be bounce rate, it could be a lot of other things depending on the page. And so some sort of metric for tracking behavior on the page depending on the page. And then the third metric is who's coming to the page. Right? Because here you're targeting the right people, but there's a lot of tools who can tell you, okay, what out of the people who come to the page, how many of them are in your target audience. These are the goals when you're doing demand gen. We have understood the goal, the message, and the audience. When you now translate and try to create a page out of this would obviously look very different. For example, let's take Deep's idea, right? Our goal is to make sure people watch a lot of that video. The first section should not have any text at all. Just show add like one headline and put the video on top.
Yeah. Directly
Right?
when they come there, what they're looking for is right there.
Yeah, give them what they wanted.
that's the
Promise
goal.
a video, show the video. Right now,
Keep it
you are
simple.
you are a marketer, so yes, maybe like then from the video, right, you have the video on top. From there, have message in the middle that will slowly drive them to what you want them to do, which is take a free trial of Slack. So then slowly see that, okay, hey, this was fun, there are other ways, or now start your copy should talk about how there are other ways to also achieve this.
Yes.
And then at the end, you then talk about, hey, you can actually take a free trial of Slack and see if that helps.
So basically, you didn't start with the copy. You started with the goal. What the goal was, get them to watch the video. That was the first thing that you did. And then you came to the copy.
Now, still we are judging the campaign on just in the metrics that we said and the goals that we spoke about. We're not judging the people on or the campaign on how many people actually converted to a free trial. Because in demand gen, we don't know where in their journey they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be very unfair for that campaign if you start comparing, tracking it based on, okay, how many people actually scheduled a free trial or started a free trial. Right. And the increased ACV and lead velocity, we have seen it. We have spoken to our customers. We've been able to see these metrics go up, increase. As it does happen, it happens very, very well. And maybe we can just show the example an example page that we created.
Yeah.
This page is for a software that, maybe Sukriti, you can explain, right? This page is for a,
So basically, this is a SaaS management platform for any companies. So on an everyday basis, B2B businesses use a lot of SaaS applications, but over a period of time, with the number of users increasing, tracking the usage of every SaaS app on different parameters manually becomes very difficult. There are a lot of aspects involved, like shadow IT. There are a lot of apps that you can never trace into, who is using what, and how many licenses were purchased versus how many are actually being used. What kind of security loophole each SaaS app is presenting, how much are you spending annually on subscription renewal? A lot of factors that you need to consider in order to manage all your SaaS applications in your entire tech stack in the company. So this particular platform automates everything. It's basically optimizes your costs, it optimizes your contract renewals, subscriptions, license, vendor management, everything it
Yeah.
takes care of.
And currently, their audience is doing this on spreadsheets.
Yes. So that was the point that we picked up as the creative sort of thing, because see, it's a human tendency that if you're able to do something very easily and for free, why would you want to pay $1,000 or money for it? Spreadsheets are of course very simple to use. They are free of cost, but there are a lot of challenges that come along with them, and that is what we picked up as the differentiating factor to promote the product. So the thought process that went behind creating this campaign was just to portray a simple idea in front of the people that, yeah, we know that you're using, the first point that we wanted to establish was, again, where did that go? That establish relatability. Okay, so yes, you use a spreadsheet, we also use a spreadsheet, but both of them are useless. So why not use a better method? Something like that. Or the first step that we used was some sort of a clickbaity thing that, we just wanted to make people to land on that page. Just click on that ad and land on that page. So for that, the idea that we threw at them was that, here, this is your free SaaS management tracker, or, get the best SaaS management template out there. And when users click on that ad, the page that they land on looks something like this. Here's the Excel you were looking for. You can fill this up, download now, or you can manage SaaS in clicks and schedule a demo. So basically, this is what presents, you promised them that you would give them a SaaS management tracker. That is exactly what the first thing that you gave them when they landed on this page, but you also threw a better way at them. And how you justified that this is better is what you find when you scroll down. So just to give you an overview of what this page promised, that, okay, this is the Excel sheet that you were looking for to start using the Excel, blah, 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 do all this. And important is revisit this every year. So basically, it's a sort of sarcasm built into it that, sounds like a bit of work, but it's quite easy to do, and totally free, doesn't matter, right? But now here, this is where the creative element comes into play, which says that, instead of wasting all that time on that manual spreadsheet, this is all that you could have been doing. So why not, think of new product ideas, reach out to new customers. You could automate everything in a few clicks and then move ahead with other things, instead of being caught up with all the drawbacks, like all these things, that waste of business time and, security risk, all of these things. Why would you want to deal with? So basically, you're creating a demand for a product in a segment which probably doesn't even realize that there is a better way to do things, or they need a better solution. And this is how you could, and then you portray that other people or other companies that have used that product, and then this is the kind of CTA that you, or a key takeaway, that 30% of saving on your SaaS spend. Because definitely when you're automating stuff, you have a lot more visibility into what you actually need, what you are wasting, where you are, where you can apply some optimizations. So when you have all of that, there will be savings that you have. And then the CTA. So all in all, this is the perfect example of a demand gen landing page, where the customer or the target audience isn't even aware that they are, doing something in a way which probably they should not be doing, or probably there is a better way to do it. And once you have sold the idea that there is a better way to do it, that is when you have actually created that demand. And after that, that audience would really want to, see that, okay, yeah, I do have that, that aha moment, that, yeah, I could do that in a better way. And that is when you pitch your product and it works. So this is the kind of creative kind of thing. This was actually a page that we really enjoyed doing, because a lot of brainstorming went into this. And then, yeah, so this is this kind of stuff is what brings the fun into creating landing pages and bringing, creativity.
Okay, I guess we are, I
We
think,
are.
20 minutes
Yeah.
up. Great. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for sticking till the end, right? If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, if you're in the community, anytime you ask a question, Sukriti is there, I'm there, Saurji is there, Divya is there, Aditya is there. We'll all be there. We'll be asking your question, answering all of your questions there. So, hey, feel free to drop your questions there. I hope this was helpful. If you have any suggestions for the next session, just let us know.
Thanks, Sagar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.